Baker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around, we're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at him.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Well, it's been a little bit of a wait, but High Point Racing GT World Challenge Season 10 is finally upon us. Bigger, bolder and brasher than ever before. And what's more, it's a 10-round calendar. Hello everybody, welcome along to Racer Nexus as you join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and I'm in the booth alongside Jake Sanson with Rob Campbell, our producer behind the scenes. The wait is finally over. Not only is it the 10th season of this fantastic GT3 championship, but what's more, we have got 10 rounds to go. Let's take you through the calendar. Here we are at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, the home of the Crown Strike 24, and also the Belgian Grand Prix, which has just taken place. We head to Imola for round 2, Circuit Zandvoort for round 3, Miami International Autodrome for round 4, Road America, Suzuka, Laguna Seca, Silverstone, Indianapolis, and to round off the season, we head to Fuji Speedway. 2 rounds will be double points, 2 drop scores are thrown into the mix, and what's more, we have 3 classes: GTD Pro, GTD Pro Am, and Jake, let's just say this, it's the same format. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely right, and welcome everybody to Season 10. It is going to be an absolute thrill fest. After the way that Season 9 unraveled and unfolded round by round, we certainly got plenty of unpredictability and all sorts of chaos through the course of the season, with some stellar drives coming up to the fore. And having this 3rd class definitely gives plenty more to shoot for the drivers. We're going to have a very busy grid. And looking at that calendar, it really is a mix and match of the very toughest race circuits across America, coupled with some of the pure driving circuits of the world. You've got Spa, Zandvoort, Suzuka, Fuji, Silverstone, along the likes of the Indianapolis road course, Road America, Laguna Seca, and the streets of Miami. It really is going to test everybody in this multifaceted, multi-classed GT spectacular.
Indeed, the double points rounds actually starts this very week here at Spa-Francorchamps. As you can see, the conditions are very, very damp indeed. But more to the point, 1,519 feet above sea level, measures 4.31 miles, 7.004 kilometers, a wind of 8 miles an hour, humidity at 41%, air temp 20 degrees centigrade, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. The other double points round will be on September 20th at Silverstone, but we do also have some nice little week breaks in between some of the action, and that will be after round 4 in Miami, before we then return to Road America, America's National Park of Speed on August 23rd. And then we will also have a little bit of a breather between Suzuka and Laguna Seca. So plenty of opportunity for these drivers to get going. Also, we can't forget about the sponsors of this. Of course, Hymo Setups, which provide professional sim racing setups used by all HPR drivers and helps to elevate the standard of racing across all classes. Each race winner gets a 1-month Hymo subscription. By entering, there is a giveaway of 1 year of Hymo setup registration. Also, let's not forget Monster Designs, providing professional branding and designs for your team and driver liveries. And along with that, we've also got Admin Box, an organisational tool helping with race control, broadcasting and league organisation. Liveries by Monster Designs will be given away. We're even giving away a free entry of Season 11 to someone who's registered, an IMSA shirt, $25 iRacing credits or cash. But one of the big things is season winners will receive $30 and an entry to season number 11. We're into the final 3 minutes, and Jake, it might be sunny in Spa, but you and I both know, having found out over what has been an interesting 12 minutes of this 15-minute qualifying session so far, it isn't all plain sailing, because we're seeing lap times of around about a 2 minute 35. Now get this, for a battle for pole position, Lakenshaw in the number 13 Ford Mustang has got a 1.1 second advantage over Dan Griffin. Of course, for those wondering, 60% fuel limit for the 60-minute race, 1 fast repair, first incident limits, black flag at 15 incident points, and then every 10 afterwards, open setup. But Lakenshaw has brought Coyote Power kicking and screaming with a bit of a canter around this 7.004 kilometre circuit, and there is the number 13.
Definitely a good starting point for Lakenshaw. You're absolutely right to suggest, Alex, that we both know of what we speak when it comes to Spa-Francorchamps. Both of us have not only attended the circuit, but actually walked it in the past. We know how difficult it is, the peaks and troughs. Both of us here during the 2023 Spa 24 Hours weekend, that fateful weekend that saw us sadly lose the young and very talented Delano Van Toff, as well as put on an absolutely fantastic race display in the Spa 24 Hours itself, where Nick Yellerly and the Rowe BMW team triumphed in fantastic fashion. Great to see that the drivers are starting to find the weak spots of this circuit that they can try and tame. It is not going to be an easy one. Jace Larson in what is now becoming quite traditional Red Bull Verstappen.com-esque livery on the Ferrari. Although, of course, other liveries are available. That's one of the other things we love about High Point Racing in the Racer Nexus broadcasting booth in this championship. Oh, and that's an off for Kenneth Clodin. So Ken Clodin, who was famously the endorsement of McLaren last year. Now he's in the Ferrari this season.
Yeah, Ecto 1 or Clodin 1, as I gave it the moniker, which was the McLaren 720S GT3s. Oh. We've got another spinner in the background. That's the 101. Dan Griffin, who's currently P3 at the moment, but it's very close. Christian Ruiz in the number 7, switching from the BMW that brought him. Well, no, he was actually in the Mercedes, which had the Verstappen.com liveried Merc at one point. Of course, for those that might remember their DTM side of things, it was the case that it was Thierry Vermeulen who was running with Emil Fry Racing, running in the famed Red Bull colours, and at one point was partnered by now Williams F1, Alassian Williams F1 driver Alexander Albon when he wasn't running in Formula 1.
Yes, indeed. Great to see all of the fantastic patchwork liveries that we've got. Oh, Nicholas Matthews almost swaps end over end in the Lunatic Racing Ferrari. Just about manages to catch it before hitting the wall, but he's still going to bail on the lap because there is time down to 0. As you can see, the checkered flag is out. The fireworks are on the graphics, and Donald Powell is trying to bring the Chevy Corvette home to a decently clean lap. He is currently finding himself, Donald Powell, running down in 10th position, but he could really do with a little bit more of a boost. Nicolai Sanchez has been able to get within a second now of Lakenshaw in the Mustang. In the Porsche, there he is, in the fabulous Belgian colours on his Porsche. I'm not sure if that's the intention, but it's certainly the result. And great to see just how tough it is going to be all the way down to the wire. We're going to be picking off these liveries all the way through. I've already seen Hamilton Leclerc 2026 F1 Ferrari livery. There's Ryan Anderson crossing the line to go pole in class. And there is Matthew Mitchell in the glorious, gorgeous Lamborghini.
Now that is a livery that I think that Mirko Bortolotti and Mirko Bortolotti has run in previous years in ADAC GT Masters before making the switch to DTM, where he won the title. And who was his teammate that year? A certain wild child from Denmark by the name of Nicky Thiem, as we are getting into the real crux of this qualifying session. Lakenshaw. Yeah.
Anderson's just gone top.
Oh my goodness me, 2:34.159. He's gone top by nearly 0.4 of a second, so Mustang was ruling the roost. Ian Morrison from Canada crosses the line, finally puts a time on the board. Matthew Mai, Jace Larson are yet to do so. They've both had quite a few track limit infringements. Good to see Donald Powell sticking with the tried and trusted Chevy Corvette Z06 GT3R. But yeah, Henry Fenson is another one we've got to watch out for this season, the Austrian for Evolution Simsport, still sticking with the Merc AMG GT3 Evo. Yeah, I still remember that weekend. There is a picture that we get, that there's myself, Jake, Alistair Young, Alif Hamilton, and we're all outside the Fanatec Arena. This was when it was still sunny. However, the qualifying for in the battle for the initial qualifying that this was on the old format before they changed everything for this year. I still remember speaking to George Morgan, of all people, at the Fanatec Arena when it was absolutely peeing down cats and dogs during Q3 at night time, and we actually stood underneath the Fanatec Arena to get cover.
Indeed we did, yeah. It was a very interesting weekend for weather, as it tends to be at Spa-Francorchamps. Many of the race weekends have been dictated by what the unique weather pattern is doing or going to do. And certainly I have a feeling that this HPR GT World Challenge opener for the Season 10 Spectacular is going to be no different. Even though the race is only going to be an hour, I think it's still going to give us plenty of intense unpredictability. We're only going to get about 30 laps or so out of the race, I think, based on the fact that the lap is giving us about 2.5 minutes or so, and the first lap is obviously going to be a tricky one. So I suspect we're only going to get about 30 laps of racing around Spa within the hour. It's not going to be an easy one to predict exactly how long we'll go, but it's certainly going to be a tough one. And you can expect pit stops for fuel and tyres to start round about lap 8 or 9, I would think.
Yeah, well, with that being said, let's take you through the grid for the opening round of Season 10 HPR GT World Challenge here at Spa. Ryan Anderson and Lakenshaw, BMW versus Mustang on the front row. Henry Fenson and Nicholas Maynard. It's Mercedes and Ferrari, row 2. Nicolai Sanchez and Christian Ruiz, Porsche versus Maranello on row 3. Dan Griffin and Chris Nauman, Ferrari versus Porsche, row 4. Carlos Ruiz Padilla and Donald Powell sticking to their machines from last season, BMW versus Corvette. Thomas King and Nicholas Matthews round out row 6. Row 7, Ken Clodin and Nicholas Lafrance's Ferrari versus Porsche on row 7. Jason Burmeister and Nicholas Lanciers with Sonic on his Porsche round out row 8. Chris Edwards and Matthew Mitchell bring Mercedes and Lamborghini to row 9, and completing the top 20 is Andrew Davis and Travis Stevens in the Aston Martin and the Corvette. Edgardo Gomez in the Acura NSX and Scott Farrell in the 720S McLaren round out row number 11. Ian Morrison and Matthew Mai complete row number 12. Rounding out the grid, it's Jace Larson all the way down there, not setting a lap time in qualifying. This is going to be an interesting one because the air temp is higher than the track temp at the moment. 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 degrees, 62 on the track. And more to the point here, Jake, when you have track temperatures that are lower than the ambient air, what does it mean at Spa? You're skating on an ice rink.
You certainly are. Getting temperature in the tyres on the run behind the safety car is going to be critical to get things right on the first lap. Jason Larson starting from dead last is not actually the disadvantage he might think it is, and he'll certainly be able to make decent progress on the first lap. We know that Flotsam and Jetsam becomes quite a crisis in these races on the first lap. At Spa in particular, that will be doubly so. So as long as he can just keep himself a decent clear head, if he's got good reaction times, if he can keep his response is favourable, he can make up quite a lot of progress on the first lap. Some of the drivers in the midfield may end up becoming cannon fodder as things work. And as you can see on this first start, on the rolling start conditions, the poleman Ryan Anderson and the rest of the field are going to have a little bit of spray behind them. It is damp conditions still, so this is going to be a real knife edge. On the run to La Source, it could be a little bit hectic. On the run through Eau Rouge, we could see several drivers facing the wrong way.
Yep, developments at the moment. Jason Burmeister in the number 23 Mustang is going to have to start from pit road. So is Matthew Mitchell in the number 69 Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo. But it is Ryan Edison in the number 46 CrowdStrike AWS BMW M3 and I have to say, Lakenshaw, a new arrival to HPR for this season. That high-mo livery on that Mustang looks absolutely glorious. A lot of black, a little bit of purple, some flecks, some wonderful attentions to detail, but we have got plenty of time over the 10 rounds that will bring this season to its start. We're heading in towards Blanchimont and into the chicane. Don't forget, next week we will get things going with season 6 of the High Point Racing IMSA series live here every single round on Racer Nexus. So don't forget to hit that like, share and subscribe button whilst you're at it, as the iRacing BMW M2 Cup safety car is now very set to peel off into pit lane. And more to the point, how are things going to go over the next 60 minutes? Stick with myself, Alex Goldschmidt and Jake Sanson for the roller coaster, as we have got the green flag. Season 10 HBR GT World Challenge is ready to rock and roll here at the roller coaster at Spa-Francorchamps. As look at this, Shaw to the outside of Addison into La Source. Benson, Ruiz and Maynard trying to make it 3 wide for P3 as we go down the hill. And look at this, everyone just about getting through turn 1 at La Source, but it's going to be wheel-to-wheel Mustang versus Munich. Up the hill, through Eau Rouge, into Radion. And then it's going to be down the Kemmel Straight. Jaden Shaw is going to open up that 5.4 litre naturally aspirated Coyote V8 to that Mustang. And he's going to the outside of the Kemmel Straight early. Headlights ablaze here in the Ardennes Forest. And look at this for Henry Fenton, Jake. He's right with them, but Shaw to the outside of Addison. He's even got to Lincoln before they've even hit the apex.
He's got to make sure he doesn't rotate the back end of the car and kick it out, but that's beautifully done by Lakenshaw. The Canadian hits the front in the High Point Mustang. Beautifully done, and Fenton's gone around. Fenton's gone around in third position as he tries to catch up to the 2 leaders. The back end of the Mercedes stepped out, and he manages to catch it back in again, just in behind Matthews and LaFrance. What a shame for the Australian. The Evolution Sim Sports driver just got the back end loose. It's so easily done in these damp conditions. I'm amazed more didn't go around at Radion, to be fair, but it is a very tricky moment for Fenton, and that's cost him at least 5-6 seconds.
Yeah, he was actually quite slow. Let's have a look at the Racer Nexus replay. Yeah, just goes in. He's going to turn.
That's where it started. Yeah. That's where it started, yeah. Alex. He just got a little bit on the white line, had to kill it with a little bit more gusto on the throttle through the next right-hander, and he got away from him. Yeah, that was through Malmedy on the run down to Bruxelles, but they're now going through into Les Fagnes before heading into the double right-hand complex at Campus and Stavelot. But Griffin trying to get through on Christian Ruiz. Nicolás Sanchez, the number 2 Porsche, leads in the Pro-Am division. And it's the number 88
Chris Edwards in the Mercedes that leads in the AM class.
He's gone again! He's gone again!
I cannot believe it. It's lightning striking twice for the Australian at 2 respective corners. First at Malmedy, now coming out of Stavlo as we're now going to go towards high speed. They are going to have to lift going through Blanchimont, but Henry Fenson's race in the opening lap has been a shocker.
I wonder if he received a tap at the back on the way through La Source and it's sort of slightly put the Mercedes out of kilter, but that's a second error. I don't know whether it's to do with the way that the car is handling or whether it's to do with the way he's just not dialed in yet.
Oh, he just lost it on his own.
Yeah, he lost it exactly on the racing line through Paul Frere, so that's a big error. Twice over on the same lap for Fenson. He has kept going. I don't know whether he's nursing some damage or whether he's just not quite dialed into the zone yet, but what a shocker for someone of the talent of Henry Fenson to have 2 slip-ups in the same lap, the opening lap of this race.
Well, when you consider the fact when he went through the gravel at Malmedy when it first went sideways, the big problem was it dirtied the tyres. As Nicolas Lafrance in the Sonic liveried Porsche 911 is trying to go round to the outside of Chris Naumann. Well, Chris Naumann, I think, is a little bit further up the field, but again, it's just, it's actually Sanchez. So, and look at that to the outside. Nicolas Lafrance goes on Nicolas Sanchez. And then you've got Thomas King in the... Now, who'd have thought someone puts Rexy on a Mustang? That's the first.
It looks cool. We had somebody skating off the road at Lake Com as well. I didn't quite see who it was. I think it might have been one of the Ferraris just skating over. Ryan Anderson down the order P16 class in the BMW. Was it him that went off at Lake Com? We're going to have a look at it. He's hugging the inside line. He's actually slow on the way to the inside line. Yeah, slow down penalty, and then he goes off and wide. So that's what it was for Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, it looks like there might have been a technical issue there for the number 46 as Sanchez. Oh, well, that's not going to help Nicolas Lafrance, because if that ping gets any worse, the server's going to kick him to the curb. Thomas King, in the meantime, holds on at the moment to P6 in the Pro-Am class. So the grey is for Pro, the orange is for Pro-Am, and well, look at that, not at all surprising. Henry Fenson has got no front bumper on that car, so that's a bit exposed, but it's not going to slow the Aussie down. We know how quick he can be in a straight line here, Jake, but 5 minutes in, and Henry Fenson finds himself all the way down in 14th, having qualified in the inside of row number 2, but he's giving Donald Powell in the 86 Corvette. Now, there's been a little bit of a change of there's a shift in different strategies here. Drivers on dry tyres: Christian Ruiz, Henry Fenson, Donald Powell, Ken Clodin, Travis Stevens, Andrew Davis. They are all on the slick tyres. Everyone else on wet. Not at all a surprise, considering that Henry Fenson was the first one that had 2 major offs at the same lap, and that just is the way it goes. You roll the dice, you get lucky number 7, or in Henry Fenson's case, you got snake eyes twice in a row.
Yeah, good move from Fenson to get himself back up the inside of Donald Powell. I'm not entirely sure how he lost his front splitter, you know, because the 2 spins, he didn't actually make contact with anybody from what I saw. So that could be a 3rd separate incident. We may or may not get the chance to have a look at that as we look at Carlos Ruiz Padilla. He's currently battling it out there with his countryman Christian Ruiz. So the 2 of them having a great little squabble, and great to see the F1 2026 edition Ferrari livery on board with Chris Naumann. Let's listen in.
There's nothing like a flat 6 boxer engine. Sorry, I am a little bit biased on that, folks.
Too right.
I mean, to be honest with you, when you see and you hear how the this 4-litre flat 6 boxer engine just screams, that's the thing. It's just, and then internally you hear that whine, but we're on board with the roof cam as Chris Naumann
you can really feel the snap, Alex, when they go through Blanchimont. It is so difficult. The back end is really trying to rotate and overtake the front splitter. It is so difficult. Look how much standing water there is as well on the inside of these curbs. It is such a tricky circuit out there. You can't really open up the taps. I'm not actually that surprised that Fenson's had those couple of moments when you see from on board what the track conditions are actually like. It's one thing to see it from the outside, but when you see it from the inside, every corner is a bit of a lottery at the moment.
Jace Larson challenging his inner Max Verstappen at the moment. He's up to 16th place, having started from the back end of the grid. So up 9 spots. He's looking for number 10, trying to get past Donald Powell. So you can see the Ferrari in front of them. Ken Clodin has just dropped it, coming out of Stavlo. I think maybe, with regards to the front bumper, look at this, wheel to wheel. Jace Larson to the outside on the approach in towards Blanchimont. Nearly a rub of paintwork between him and Ken Clodin. They both just about get away with it. I think it may have been through the first incident at Malmedy when, well, no, here we go. We're going to see it. This is the replay of when he lost the front bumper.
On the first lap. Yeah, did he connect with somebody?
I know,
he just ran through the gravel and it came off.
Yeah. And I think probably the initial damage was done up at Malmedy earlier on in the race when he went off, and I think he might have just had a little bit of a tank slapper, tagged the wall. And
the replays, yeah, I thought it was a long replay. Maybe we were going to see something else, maybe rub with another car, Alex, but no, we didn't see anything in particular. I think it might have just worked its way loose by going through the gravel.
Yeah. Meantime, new fastest lap of the race, Nicholas Maynard, P2.
The Ferrari's gone. Larson. Scariest place on the whole circuit to lose it as well. He's got to get going again. Oh my word, how have the drivers around him missed him? That is the most scary place on the whole circuit to lose it.
All I'm going to say is that is giving me Jack Aitken PTSD reminders.
Yeah. Oh, what a scary place to lose.
Oh, and that was Nicolas Lafrance coming through at high speed.
Yeah. We got away with that one. My goodness, so many races could have been ruined by that spin for Jace Larson. He gets away with it with a few more grey hairs, but other than that, he's able to carry on and fight his way back into contention. What a scary place to go off.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot of buttock clenching going on at that point as well. And we're going to see on board with the number 51 of the Pro-Am car of Nicolas Lanciers. And there you see...
Oh, how
Jace
close
Larson.
is he going to get here?
That is well avoided by Nicolas Lanciers, I have to say that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a split second to make a decision on damp conditions when you're at full chat through Eau Rouge heading up to Radillon. That was good reactions from Lancier.
Yeah, as we now see a recovering number 46, Ryan Anderson, and he's trying to chase down Nicholas Matthews. Picture in picture. Good to see the Acura NSX GT3 get a little bit of love, courtesy of Mexico's Edgardo Gomez, who actually ran the car last season and started P21, now running a couple of spots higher, just behind the now man who's going to attempt to get rid of those grey hairs with a bit of just for men, Jace Larson. But nevertheless, we've completed the first. Oh, and we've had a big turnaround, and that is going to be Griffin. Griffin's lost it coming out of the chicane. Wait, hold your brakes.
Yeah,
no.
He can't get going.
Oh.
He's got to wait for everybody to pass, hasn't he?
He did that in quali as well.
Yeah, you're right, he did. He's in the battle with Ruiz as he runs up to the chicane. The back end's already loose on the way into the bus stop. It's already loose. Then he's on the wet patch. Nothing he could have done about that.
Well, that standing water is catching a lot of people out. Here's Matthew Mai. Oh, Powell's lost it. Powell's lost it at exactly the same place as Larson. Twice in 2 laps, we've had a Corvette and a Ferrari go spinning more times than Kylie Minogue.
Honestly, I tell you more, it is really, really impressive, the standard of the drivers, that we haven't had more people going off the road like that. And how about that for synchronicity? Donald Powell spins off the road in the same place. Who does he join in front of? Jace Larson. You couldn't really have scripted it, could you?
No, it's all like it's a fait accompli, so to speak. But it's not gonna, you know, I don't think we're out of the woods quite yet, Jake, because the air temperature's dropped by at least a couple of degrees Fahrenheit. So again, it's that ice rink situation, and track state very likely wet. Well, it should be more than likely, in the words of Jeremy Clarkson, mildly moist with patches of wet on curbing. Meantime, Ken Clodin has just got through on. That's a heck of a move to do that there. We've also got Andrew Davis in the Aston Martin has just picked up a meatball flag, and yeah, that is sparking from the right front. That is damaged suspension. Let's have a look at the replay, because he's made contact with something. It's going to be the local scenery. It's going to be coming through out of Malmedy. Rotates, and he's going to go back, and he's going to get hit.
Oh.
Gomez has hit him. And
You've got to feel for Ronaldo Gomez. Yeah, the Mexican completely blameless in that. The Acura driver having absolutely no time to respond.
Yeah, and all that's done is not only broken the steering, but also broken the right front upright. So suspension damage. They do get one fast repair. Henry Fenson still, like a trooper, going on without no front bumper. I think the good thing is at least the wet weather conditions are an equaliser. But now we get a really good on board here, Jake, with just the amount of spray and also the way that the water is travelling up the front windscreen of Ryan Anderson's CrowdStrike BMW.
Look how close Naumann gets to rotating. That's when you're literally hanging on to the rear of the car. The noise from this particular engine, really beautiful. Up to Lecombe, looking for his move on the inside line. He's thinking better of it. You've got to pick your moments in these conditions. You can't just go for the traditional move. There is the chance. Round the outside, that'll do lovely. Both of them four-wheel drifting as they come out of Lecombe. But that was beautifully navigated there by Anderson. He just read the situation perfectly on Naumann. He had to give himself a little bit of time to just allow the move to come to him. He didn't go gung-ho into the inside of the initial apex of Lecombe. He just gave himself a little bit of breathing space. Job done. Very nicely handled.
Yeah, and good to see drivers like Chris Naumann, Henry Fenson sticking with the cars that they ran in last season, as Fenson is closing. So Naumann has got to watch his rear wing, and he's going to get a... Oh, look at this from Fenson. That's beautifully timed. And he's going to get through before the next right-hander. Beautifully done by the Aussie from Evolution Sim Sports. Through into Le Fagnes, round the outside, and Chris Naumann decided, you know what, we've got 3 courses of this race left to run. We've still got a pit stop. There's an opportunity maybe to do an undercut on him. But there's Travis Stevens, currently running P18. And for those HPR race fans who have just joined us, well, check out our new graphics. Big thanks to Rob Campbell and the team behind the scenes here at Racer Nexus. We've got a new look, and boy, does it look good.
Yeah, really good step up from everybody on the broadcast front. It looks even more slick and more detailed than last year. We can really get down to the nitty-gritty. We can see the comparison there between Edwards, Stevens and Morrison in the midfield battle there over the last few laps. That's the battle for the AM victory, don't forget. So that's why it's significant to look at those 3. Henry Fenson, fastest lap of the race at 2:29. Is that accurate? A 2:29
yeah, that's accurate.
for Henry Fenson. That's astonishing pace. That's absolutely amazing. With no bumper, that's 3 seconds quicker than the race leader Lakenshaw. That is mighty from Henry Fenson, and that shows you just what he's able to do. If he can keep that pace up, then, well, he's got a chance. Considering those 2 spins, he's in 5th position. Now we're starting to see the logic of why he decided to go slicks.
One of the other things that we're noticing here, Jake, with the temperature starting to increase on the track, there are bigger patches of dry weather starting to show, and that is going to help the likes of Fenson, the likes of Clodin. Christian Ruiz in the number 7 Ferrari is now P3, and he is closing that gap. I mean, look at the lap time of this. Christian Ruiz's last lap was a 2:30.25. Nicholas Maynard, 2:33.1. The tyres tell the story. That is nearly a 3-second gain. And Christian Ruiz, as Henry Fencer's gone off the track again, I'm afraid. He's done it again. That's third time. Third striking route. That's coming out of Speaker's corner.
Oh, that's awful.
No.
Awful timing. Awful timing. And both races are going to be over. La France is going to be in the wall and done. Fenson's going to have too much damage. Well,
Left rear.
Fenson's tactic of going to slicks was a good one, but it was too early. That was the problem. Now it's starting to kick in, but the slick tyre is still not really the perfect choice until about 5 minutes time. That's the third mistake from Fenson. This time he's lost his rear wing. He tries to recover, but he hasn't given himself enough time before La France is on the scene.
Yeah, so let's just have a look at this replay. So he's behind Carlos Ruiz Padilla, and he's going to go into Speaker's corner.
Too much on the curb.
The front end's what takes the wallop. He goes backward into the barriers, and now we're on board with Nicolas Lanciers. So this
he have
is
it off as well.
Yeah, so this is actually in the build-up towards. So Lanciers looking very, very quick down the hill, coming out of Malmedy into Bruxelles. So fourth, down to second, brings the car through, lets it go a little bit wide. Now we'll accelerate down into Speaker's corner. So at this point, Fenson's gone off, gone backwards into the barriers, and he's going to be... Oh, it's La France.
We're going to have a look at it shortly, I hope.
Here we go. Right, here we go.
France.
Right, so same approach. So down into second gear. So by this point, Fenson will have already gone through Speaker's corner. Front end hit the barrier. It rotates 180 degrees. He's lost his rear wing. Okay, he thinks it's clear. He goes forward.
It's not. Nothing.
There we go. La France, bang! Right.
He'll be
rear
so
takes
annoyed
the
at
brunt
that.
of the... I know, because it's not only look at the right front wheel. The rear right has also gone, because it ends up being 3 wheels in the air, let alone 3 wheels still on the wagon. But that's a real shame. La France, he had to make a decision, then he tows it to the pits. That is big drama. Nicholas La France qualified 14th. Henry Fenson qualified P3. However, look at this. Maynard and Ruiz. Ruiz has gotten through for second. He, in that Ferrari 296 GT3, it's a very different story. It's a tale of two halves here, Jake. Ruiz is making it work.
It's a really, really solid effort from Ruiz. It looks like a bit of a run wide there from the Mustang. Of course, there's gravel on the circuit now, thanks to that incident between La France and Fenson. But it's a lovely sweeper at a very tough corner to get the move done from Christian Ruiz. Coming back to the Fenson and La France moment. Fenson clearly making the right... Oh, was that the leader? That was the leader off the road. Shaw's gone off the road in front of Ruiz and Maynard. Shaw drops the Mustang in the same place that we saw Fenson go off on the first lap. The Canadian's dropped it, and he's got damage as well. This is a big shocker. The Canadian has dropped it from the lead.
He's not the only one. Jace Larson's gone, so this is going to be coming through out of Stavlo, and it's on the wet stuff. Mustang rotates around. He's going to go straight hard end, front end into the barriers, and there goes Christian Ruiz going through. And there's sunshine down at Stavlo, but Jace Larson has also struck trouble. Oh dear, it's not gone well for him. This is coming through out of Double Gauche, or Pouon, if you want to call it, on the wet stuff.
That's a big one. Oh my goodness. That's game over. No chance.
That kind of reminds me of Lucia Tosi's dramas last season. And Scott Farrell in the Send Endurance race in McLaren 720S. He's gone off the circuit. Luckily enough, he's only just skated and mowed the grass with his front splitter.
See, right now we're at the biting point, Alex. That's why so many people are dropping it. We saw some great flashes of pace from Fenson, and actually Ken Clodin's just done a 2-minute 26.9. So that shows you the kind of speed that the dry tyres are having. But we're at the biting point right now. We're at that critical crossover where the wet tyre becomes the wrong choice. The slick tyre is just about becoming the right choice, but it's not quite there yet. So you're having to feel on instinct where the grip is coming from, where the grip has left you. The lines that were working 5 minutes ago don't work anymore. So you're having to be very varied and quite responsive into where you place the car, because from one lap to the next, it's going to be really difficult to calculate exactly where it's going to come. So where you can get the most out of it. So that's why we're getting big guns like Fenson, like Larson, dropping it, because they're the ones who know how to push. But we're in that biting point of conditions, and Lakenshaw's gone again.
Oh, mamma mia are the only two words that can really express things, and we're not even in Italy yet. That's not until next week, folks, when we go to Imola. But nevertheless, yeah, you're right. It's just some drivers, I mean, like Christian Ruiz, Ken Clodin, the Ferraris are really, it's kind of like the days when back in, you know, like the 2000s, when the Ferraris used to really light up the soft tyres really well. It's kind of the same with intermittent conditions like this here at Spa and the Ferrari 296s. It is a Ferrari overall top three, and more to the point, you've got the Pro and the Pro-Am leaders in said top three, with Christian Ruiz first and Ken Clodin in the number 6 car rounding out the top three. Piggy in the middle is Nicholas Maynard. Christian Ruiz has just gone quickest of anybody with a 2:25.552. That is impressive, but we are now seeing that the track temp has gone up to 64.4 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're not that far away from track matching air temp. And, well, I think also the big thing is when we're seeing big differentials in lap time with the wet tyres, when we are at that big biting point, like you said, Jake. The Nicholas Maynard's last lap was a 2:33.8, and that, folks, was over that. I can't believe I'm going to say these words on this opening round of HBR GT World Challenge Season 10. That is 8.3 seconds quicker on lap time between first and third, and the rain's coming down. The rain's coming.
So all of that is going to completely change again. All of that knowledge that we had, the 2:25.552 from Christian Ruiz, that's the fastest that we're going to have in this race, because everything else now is going to be negated by a further downpour. Well, anybody that's on slick tyres, it's all gone wrong, because now they've got to change their strategy. The best person this actually benefits is Christian Ruiz, but he's got to get into the pits on this lap. So he's out in front. He's got a gap. He's obviously built up 12 seconds on Clodin, but he's got to take advantage of the fact that the rain is coming down now. I wouldn't stay out there an additional lap if I was him. No. I would be coming into the pits. I would just be conserving the opportunity, because if Clodin there behind him, who's also on slick tyres, he's got to be trying to find a benefit here. Clodin's forced into a situation where he's got to gamble, essentially. He knows that Ruiz is going to have to pit in. The only way to overcut him here is to hope that it's not wet enough yet for wet tyres. Again, it's that biting point. So if you stay out and the slicks hold for another lap, Clodin could make up a bit of time here on Ruiz, but it very much depends on what the Ferrari does. Essentially, if he wants to win this race on pure strategy, he's got to do the opposite of whatever Ruiz does. If Ruiz is in the box now, then Clodin's got to stay out. Right, if I'm Clodin, I'm boxing. I'm boxing now, because if Ruiz gets this wrong, then Clodin could get the uppercut. Yeah.
In the meantime, we have got a new fastest lap race. It's the man from Australia, from Evolution Sim Sports. Henry Fenson has been mighty again, despite his dramas. A 2:24.286, and that car is now back to 100%. After the dramas that we saw with him and Nicolas Lanciers. But yeah, you're right. I think it's a case of, if you are going to bite the bullet and get onto those wet tyres, because that rain, that's not stopping, I think. I think that's going to be in for the long haul, because we are just 4 minutes away from half-time in what has been an absolute, well, a firework-laden way to start off Season 10 here at Spa. It's a double points round, let's not forget, folks. So it's double bubble. It's not just here, but it's also at Silverstone, as Thomas King in the Rexy liveried Pro-Am Mustang, currently sitting 5th in class, is 8th behind Nicolai Sanchez. Nicholas Matthews is in. I wonder how long is it going to be before Ruiz, Clodin carried on. Clodin is not going to do the offset strategy to Chris Ruiz as Thomas King thunders down the Kemmel straight, and he's got the inside line on Sanchez. That is beautifully done, but he's going to run deep. He's going to go straight on. That is going to be mowing the grass with the front splitter, and then he's going to pick up a track limit slowdown penalty as a direct result. The intention was there, but the execution, well, if you wanted style points, that would be a 1.9 out of 10 in my book.
Well, what's interesting is that these drivers may well still go for the undercut-overcut strategy, but it's clear that we're not doing it yet. It looks to me as though the conditions are still reasonable enough on the slick tyres the drivers have gone for to stay out there another couple of laps, because the rain is coming down, but it's not monsoon, is it? It's not ferocious, it's just gradual, and it's quite consistent. So in a couple of laps, yeah, it's going to be completely unmanageable on the slick tyres. So it's going to be very interesting to see when Ruiz decides to pull the plug. He's still staying out for the moment, so clearly there's enough of a dry line that you can cope on these tyres for the moment. And if you can stretch it a little bit longer, it does make a little bit of sense to stay out if you can stretch it a bit longer, because then you've got a bit more time to read what the rain's actually going to do. Is this going to be a mild shower? Is it going to intensify? You give yourself a little bit more of an option if you can hold it and stay out there a bit longer.
Yeah, well, all I can say is this: Jace Larson, well, as Ken Clodin now pits, Edgardo Gomez joins him. Jace Larson is out of the race as of lap 7. We're now on lap 12. So Clodin switching to wets. And there is Dan Griffin in the 101 force car. 100 force also. Yeah.
For Clodin to make the change now, that is critical, because he can get the switch up. If it's clearly struggling for him, he can get more confidence on the wet tyres in his Ferrari, and he can make inroads into Ruiz. Ruiz has got to stay out there at least another lap. And don't forget, Alex, this is the longest lap on the calendar. So you've got to be really, really measured. You've got to know that you've got confidence in the car to stay out there the additional lap. By pitting a lap before, Clodin has given himself a little bit more of an option.
Yeah, and when you think about it, the sparks fly from the rear diffuser of the McLaren 720S of Matthew Mai, who started at the back end of the grid, and he's up to P8 in the class, so 16 places gained. He's the biggest, he's the hardest charger in this race. So look who's coming along for the ride, Dan Griffin in the 101 force Ferrari. But with that in mind, as we are about to hit halfway, Sanchez goes off slightly at Lecom, loses 2 for the price of 1. But let's just give you a quick reminder of the sponsors of HPR GT World Challenge for Season 10, Hymo Setups. And then we've also got our good friends at Monster Designs, along with that, plus also Admin Box. So a big thank you to those 3 companies that have been a big part of the HPR GT World Challenge fraternity, let's say, as we are now into part 2 of this fantastic Season 10 opener here in the Ardennes Forest. Christian Ruiz, he is motoring. Has he had his ready break this morning? Because he's now, after an additional 3 laps, that's 12, that's over 13 miles he has travelled in comparison to Ken Clodin, and he enters pit lane with over a 20-second advantage, and very shortly will be lining up on his marks in the pit box. We are using the GP variety, unlike the endurance layout where the start line would have been halfway down the hill from La Source to Eau Rouge. So we're using the GP layout for this round. Ken Clodin, he's currently sitting in 10th at the moment and is 5.7 seconds behind the number 2 Porsche of Nicolas Sanchez, as Carlos Ruiz Padilla is now through. New race leader, who's got off? Oh, Scott Farrell in the number 34 McLaren has just had a moment. He's got off the track. But Christian Ruiz rejoins, and that is going to be, is that going to be ahead of Ken Clodin? Yes, he rejoins in 4th. good strategy call there by Christian Ruiz. He now makes his way through Eau Rouge et Radiant and down the Kemmel Straight. But Maynard now the new race leader in the number 100 horse car.
He was quite smart there, Ruiz, because he knew that Clodin had pitted, so he felt, well, I've got to see off that assault because he was going quicker than Ruiz on the new set of tyres. So he only lost about 6 seconds total. So the gap was 14 seconds at the stop. He comes out about 8 seconds ahead, roughly, of Ken Clodin. So that was quite smart from Christian Ruiz. He knew he had to basically see off the challenge, as it were. In fact, looking at it, Ken Clodin, I think, may have had an off on his outlap because Ruiz has found himself quite considerably further ahead, even after the pit stop. So I wonder if there was an issue there for Clodin and he got held up on his outlap because the gap between them was 14 seconds. Looking at it now, it actually looks like it's up to about 24 seconds. So I think Clodin's lost. Oh, and a spin right in front of Carlos Ruiz Padilla. Oh, and that side swipe. That's Anderson.
Oh.
Anderson had nowhere to go. Maynard's gone. Anderson's gone with him.
Yeah, Anderson's just heavily impacted. Oh, I don't believe it.
Game over for Anderson. What a shocker.
Yeah, that's, as we would say in the United Kingdom, 3 wheels on that wagon.
Yeah.
It's a real shame because the right front, a complete and utter mess. Let's have a look at the well, this is the aftermath. And Anderson, well, he can turn it left, but he wants to pull the car to the right. So there's Maynard spinning. And
oh, he just moved an inch forward to the curb, and that was where Anderson was going to avoid him. If he hadn't moved, I don't think there'd have been contact. Let's look at it again. Here's Anderson on board. Maynard is spinning at the moment from the lead. Now watch Anderson. He's got to make a quick second decision. He sees it from a long way. He goes to the inside, and look, Maynard's moving. That was really, really shocking from Maynard. He should have known better than that, really. Anderson's to his inside line. You know you're on the racing line. You know you're fighting for the lead. You know you've got drivers 3 or 4 seconds behind you. You cannot afford to move when you've got drivers around you. You're going to cause a second accident. And I'm afraid to say, sorry, Mr. Maynard, that's exactly what happened. And now he and Anderson are out. That could have been avoided.
Yeah, I've got 3 words. Hold the brakes.
Yeah, totally, totally. That accident should never have happened. The spin from Maynard, okay, it was your error, it happens, fair play. But you do not move until you know it's clear. You can't just put your, especially when you can see when the cars are coming behind you. That was such a sloppy error, such a shame.
Yeah, well, in the meantime, Chris Nauman and Carlos Ruiz Padilla are in pit road. Ken Clodin battling away with Lake and Shaw. So Shaw having a bit of a recovery spell after the incident that he had in the Hymo Mustang just a few moments ago as Carlos Ruiz Padilla exits pit lane. And that is behind Ken Clodin to the tune of about 13 seconds. Sanchez in a minute in the number 2 Porsche. Holds on to the Pro-Am class lead, but Clodin is about 10 seconds adrift, and then a further 13 seconds back is Carlos Ruiz Padilla, one of our season 9 champions. But again, it's just, look at Nicolás Sanchez. It's like he's treading on eggshells because that rain is now constant. It is not on or off, and we know, Jake, that here at Spa, it could be raining at Stavlo, and then you're bone dry at the source. But here, we're seeing patches of sunshine, patches of rain. I love the Tempest racing weather system here on iRacing. It makes it feel so true to life.
It was just about the best possible addition to iRacing on Nicolás Sanchez, very nearly finding out the hard way that mistakes in the rain are costly at Spa. God, that was a close one for Nicolás Sanchez. That's about as close as you can get to total disaster without actually feeling it. God, that was close. He got away with that.
Oh, I think I've got the defib from the ambulance on standby by my right hand side at the moment. I mean, that's the thing. You make one wrong move onto a painted white line or a little touch of grass, it could be very much, as we've seen it before, it can be game over. I mean, you have to think about this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps. when the number 33 team Walkenhorse Motorsport car got taken out on the opening lap. And I knew one of the guys who was actually part of that crew, Ethan Isher, last year's GT3 Cup Porsche Sprint Challenge Swiss champion with Sportec Racing, who's been given a lot of guidance, even though he's no longer with Sportec, by 3-time Le Mans 24-hour race winner and a good friend of mine, and I think also probably a good friend of yours, Marcel Fessler, who still, from time to time, does a little bit of endurance racing. Only it's 1/12 of a 24-hour race.
Yes, indeed. Always good to hear about the exploits of Marcel Fessler. Just going through the times again, the fastest lap of the race is still Henry Fenson's 2:24.2, of course, and I don't think that's going to get beaten now. But Henry Fenson, I'm sorry, he is breaking the laws of physics right now. He should not be still out there in 11th position after all the incidents that have happened to him, and still running in the top 5 in class. Here he is, he's in P5 in the pro class, and yet he is absolutely storming it at the moment. He's got himself back into a rhythm, he's on his own, he's not really forcing the issue, he's just driving around. He's been bouncing off curbs and things more times than a pinball, and here he is in P5. Amazing drive from the Australian, and what a recovery.
Well, I think, you know, it's a case of going 2 steps backwards to go 1 step forward, and that's exactly what Henry Fenson has shown, contrary to the belief of other people, us in the commentary box included. But again, when he joined us, I think it was after the opening couple of rounds, we really got an understanding that here in, he's kind of like our, well, if anyone is going to be watching next weekend's Xiaomi China GT Championship that heads to Zhuhai, he kind of reminds me of our equivalent of Bailey Ward in the Milwaukee 888 Mercedes. So, yeah, I think, well, Fenson did ruffle a few feathers last season, let's be completely honest.
And he's thinking about percentages here. By getting back out there and getting into the top 5, he's playing percentages. It's actually really smart to just keep pedaling around. Look, Larson's out, Maynard's out, Anderson's out. He's 5th and last in the class. But look, we've got Imola coming, we've got Zandvoort, we've got Miami. Real circuits that will bite back. So if you could just get some decent points on the board, even if this time it's a 5th, next time it could be a 4th, a 3rd. He knows how to play the percentages. It's a 10-round championship. He's got to try and get the car home as often as possible. And with Anderson and Maynard now in the pits for such a long time, you know, there's no chance for them to get back, but there is a bit of a chance for Fenson to get back, especially if we're going to have more Flotsam and Jetsam in the pro class.
Yeah, coming up to the final third, the final 20 minutes of, well, I can say that carnage and chaos.
Yeah, survival is what we've got for 20 minutes, isn't it? It's not so much racing, it's just surviving. It's
just like everyone's just going to breathe this collective huge sigh of relief as they've got to be very careful. You can still see with that rainfall still coming down here on the start-finish straight, wipers going on Reese Padilla's BMW and also on Thomas King's Mustang. But Lakin Shaw is still the highest placed of the Blue Oval. He's currently P2 overall, behind Christian Ruiz, who at the moment, Jake, still has a nigh on 22nd lead. But this is a bit brave from Thomas King. Nearly echoes of Webber versus Alonso up the hill. He's going to get that hammer down. And can the Coyote V8 powered Mustang get the slipstream? It's going to be a tough one to try and get through on a Season 9 champion. But look at this, Thomas King is starting to close. He lifts off so early. He is not wanting to take that risk, because with that standing water, and it's only getting worse.
The thing is, he needs to see where he's going. He needs to see when he's going to make the approach to the apex in Les Combes. And if he's that close to Thomas King, he's not going to get his chance. If he's that close to Ruiz Padilla, sorry, he's not going to get his chance to read the curb radius. He needs to figure out where he's going to turn in.
Yeah, and that's going to be the crucial point that he needs to sort of look at. But when he's running right to the wheel tracks, he's backing off. and through into Double Gauche or Pouhon. And as far as another circuit that has gone through the renaming nomenclature over the years, I think we've had after Bruxelles, which was originally called Rivage, No Name, Jackie X, Speaker's Corner. It's only through our mutual good friend who's been at the Belgian Grand Prix this week, Guillaume Alvarez. I said to him, so how many corners has this time been named? Yeah, being that he's from the locality as well. And but again, there's sunshine here at Stavelot. The rain's still coming down. I'm waiting to see if there's a rainbow in the background in the Ardennes Forest here, Jake, at this point.
This is a really smart drive from Thomas King. Really, really smart. He is not pushing any harder than he has to. He's making Carlos Ruiz Padilla do all the hard work. He is not putting him under any duress that he shouldn't be under, but he's also giving himself the time. Look at it. He backs out of the apex. He doesn't go for the slam dunk maneuver. He's being such a smart cookie here. He's just following in the wheel tracks. He's letting Ruiz Padilla sweat. He's got plenty of time to make the responsive moves. He's backing out of the apexes to give himself time to not ram the back of the BMW, and he is putting that car exactly where it needs to be to challenge. It is absolutely masterful at the moment from Thomas King. Even if he doesn't get the place, this is exactly how you need to drive in the wet. You've got to put the man in front of you under pressure. You don't want to put yourself on that knife edge. You've got to be the one who's willing to cook it, but also you've got to make sure that you've got to give yourself enough space for these mistakes to be averted. He is being such an intelligent driver right now.
Did you see how close Chris Nauman, who's actually chasing them down?
Oh, there goes Griffin.
Griffin. And Sanchez goes through.
And that's why the intelligence of Henry Fenson is starting to ring true, because we are still getting drivers going off the road. And that is, of course, Griffin in front of him. Now, Fenson hasn't got ahead of him yet, but has he got damage? Almost certainly he might have done. That's a big washout point, and he's gone into the barrier. That's really going to hamper his chances now.
Yeah,
he does the right thing. Look, he holds the brake. That's what Maynard should have done.
Yeah, and the thing was, that spin was at over 120 plus miles an hour at the top of the hill, going through the crest at Redion, but Thomas King now is bump drafting Carlos Ruiz Padilla out of Speaker's Corner, now into Pouhon. But again, it's just having that visibility. You can see he's trying to apply the power, but he can't go too early. And look at that, driving blind at 125 miles an hour, now into Lifagne. Look at that, the wipers going like the clappers on the front of that Ford Mustang. And Carlos Ruiz Padilla, even he's finding it difficult.
It's working. Thomas King is doing exactly what he set out to do. He's trying to intimidate Ruiz Padilla. He is in proper Dale Earnhardt mode right now. He comes off the turn, really starting to intimidate the Chilean. The Puerto Rican, sorry, he really wants to make this work as he comes off the turn. Look, he's on the curb. This is where Thomas King can just be smart. He can follow him. He doesn't get alongside him. He's just hampering him. This is exactly what you need to do. The second you get alongside, that's when you start to open uncertainty, especially on the fastest point on the course, when you're taking these left-handers almost flat chat. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's being unpredictable. Ruiz Padilla is second-guessing where Thomas King is placing the car. Why doesn't he go for me? Because he doesn't have to. That's the key.
Yeah, just under 15 minutes to go until the first checkered flag of Season 10 of the High Point Racing GT World Challenge. Thank you so much for everyone watching along on the Racer Nexus Broadcast Network. You're in the company of Alex Goldschmidt and Jake Sanson, with Rob Campbell, our broadcast producer, behind the scenes. And again, look at the amount of standing water that's gathering at the little compression, the little dip at the wall by La Source. As down the hill we go again. Ruiz Padilla, the back end of that car is really wanting to break traction as Henry Fenson. Oh no! King's lost it! And he's not the only one now has done it as well. And look at this. Synchronized reverse turn, J-turn. Oh,
Chris,
Sanchez.
what are you doing? Chris, you know better than that. You know better than that. That's exactly what we saw Maynard do. You can't just move if you know somebody's coming. Oh, this is the problem that we have. is when you have an incident like that, there's an urgency, there's a desperation to get back onto the racing line. I get it. Your urgency, your adrenaline's pumping, you're thinking, I've got to make up the time. But on that radius of that corner, you're pulling across the racetrack when another car is almost certainly going to be coming. He should have reversed that and rejoined from the runoff area. So you've given yourself more vision, more time, more opportunity, so you're not causing another accident. Chris really should have known that. He's better than that.
Well, the thing is, it's like a re-abridged version of the Viennese waltz, only you're spinning through it.
It was a total reaction to King. A total reaction to King. But this is the thing that really bugs me as a sim racer. Look, he's rejoined right in the path of Nikolai. Nikolai is the luckiest man in Belgium right now. He should not have got away with that. And to be fair for Chris, I think he'll replay that in his mind. And he's going to say, do you know what? I should have waited. If that had happened to him, he'd have been absolutely livid. So I'm afraid he's got no leg to stand on there. That's a shame for Chris. He's a better driver than the move he just pulled.
I think Nicolai Sanchez must have been screaming down his headset mic at that point, like going, "Ah!" You know, like something. The purple meter was going into overdrive for the number 2 from the USA in that Porsche. And bearing in mind, he's now the highest of the 992 GT3Rs because of Chris Nauman's spin. But it was. That's the thing. The weather. Look at the rooster tails now. It is absolutely. It's biblical. Let's put it that way. All you need now is Moses to split the seas. Really, if I'm completely truthful, to use a biblical reference in that point. But look at this. Matthew Mai has got a black flag, from what I understood.
Yeah, that's a shame. I'm not sure what that would have been probably for the McLaren.
That's instant points. So he hit the first. Wow. The first threshold.
I'm amazed he's the first, to be honest. I mean, we've got, what, 12 minutes nearly, 11 and a half minutes to go. Fenson also has one. That's a shame. I mean, he's made a great recovery drive. But both Mai and Fenson, who are actually battling over 4th position, don't forget. And Mai's just made the move on Matthews just to prove the point. But both of them now with a black flag. That's going to be game over for Mai, game over for Fenson. What a shame.
Well, I think at the end of the day, they've got to look at the, they've got to try and look at whatever positives they can take from this as, well, here comes Dan Griffin. And look at that, absolutely flying blind at 140 miles an hour down the Kemmel Straight into Les Combes. And Chris Nauman, Griffin gets a little bit of a wobble. And he nearly could have gotten a run there. He nearly could have gotten a run. But look
at the standing water. Where do you go? The standing water through Les Combes, where do you put the car? There's no route through. There's nothing you can do.
It's kind of like the back axles wanting to do two things. It's like the Chuckle Brothers saying, to me, to you, to me, to you. And what are we going to do here, guys?
It is pure aquaplane city at Les Combes now. There's no clear route through. You can't go to the middle. You can't go to the far side. You can't go to the near side. You've got no hope at all. You've just got to blend off the throttle about 150 meters to the braking point. You've got to dab the brake. You've got to turn in. You've got to be gradual. You've got to blip, 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 blip on the throttle and just hope you've got enough momentum to turn it through. You can't get back on the throttle properly until you've come halfway around the apex. Look at Ruiz. Even he's struggling at the front. It is proper aquaplane city out there now.
Yeah, another black flag for instant points being reached. Ian Morrison and the number 12 Mercedes all the way down in 20th position. But look at this, the rain is hitting harder than it has done all the way through this race. And Christian Ruiz is still maintaining a lead over Lake Shaw of 18.5 seconds. Matthew Mai has gone off the circuit. He needs to serve that black flag penalty before he incurs the wrath of the server and thereby gets excluded from the session. Because if you don't serve it within that 3-lap window, that's it, game over. But look at this, Ruiz still full hammer down, 5th gear. Is he going to pull 6 before the end of Les Combes? That's the big thing. 150 miles an hour. No, he's going to keep it in 5th just to keep the revs high. And look, you can see by the telemetry, he's down to 2nd gear, 70 miles an hour. Now through into the rights here at Malmedy. Then wait. Now Now he puts down the power, and even the car's trying to be very non-compliant as he goes down the hill into Bruxelles. Second gear, 50 miles an hour. And staying in the higher gears is going to give you better traction when it comes to entering and exiting the corners. And he's waiting. Now he buries the throttle. Up to third, 120 miles an hour, heading into the double left here at Pouhon. Is going to be a lift, the shift down to third. And he's just coaxing that car through. He's just waiting. And then it's when he comes to exit out of Pouhon, bang, there he goes, bang on the throttle. Straight away. It is about modulation. It is about not going too hard on the brakes, not going too gung-ho heavy on that heavy leaden right foot that activates the power being put through to the rear axle. But Christian Ruiz has mastered things so far, but we're still not out of the woods yet with just over 7.5 minutes to go until the checkered. Christian Ruiz has put on the masterclass here in the soaked, saturated Spa-Francorchamps.
It's the difference between confidence and delicacy that really impresses Christian Ruiz here. It really flatters him. You know, he's been very calm. He's not overdriven the car. So many drivers have made mistakes in this race. He has just kept it on the island. He's had a couple of moments where it's gone away from him, as has everybody. But the difference is that Christian has not been particularly spectacular. He's not been bombastic. He's just been smooth. He's just been fluid. He's given himself the grace when he needed to get off the throttle. He's allowed himself the opportunity to collect a mistake. If the error comes, he doesn't overexert. He doesn't overstretch. He just allows the exertion and the inertia of the car to do the work for him. He doesn't get overly hyped about it. He doesn't get himself into a funk. He just lets the natural grace of the car pick him back up again. It's a very fluid performance, really, from Ruiz. It's not the fastest car out there. He's not the fastest driver out there, but he is the most consistent. And in these conditions, you've got to stay present. You've got to stay metronomic.
Yeah, there we see picture in picture the number 24 of Travis Stevens. And Stevens at the minute is currently leading the AM classification, down in 16th overall. And he's got a big lead over Jason Burmeister to the tune of about the same as what Christian Ruiz, well, Christian Ruiz did have over Lakenshaw, but Lakenshaw is starting to close that gap. And bearing in mind the Mustang, you were right in what you said, Jake, that the Ferrari 296 is not the quickest car around this circuit, but Lakenshaw is finding something. And on the last lap alone, he took over 3.4 seconds out of Christian Ruiz. So is that going to be enough per lap if he can continue that pace? Well,
sadly not.
That begs the question if Lakenshaw can actually up that pace in these conditions and with just over 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, that's
I think you and I are probably in the same chain of thought that that's going to be easier said than done, and that's going to be a big mountain to climb. But nevertheless, don't say to Lakenshaw you can't not try and give it a go.
Too right. You have to give it a go. You have to try and put the hard work in, especially when you know you can be quicker. What he's hoping by being 3 seconds a lap or so quicker per lap is that that gets into Ruiz's head. If Ruiz is sensible, he knows that I've got 5 minutes here. I've got a 12-second advantage, and these laps are 2.5 minutes each. So that's only 2 laps. So I'm not going to lose enough time to lose this lead. He's got to stay concentrated. He can't afford to think about Lakenshaw at all. Laken can do his thing and be 3 seconds a lap faster, and it just won't be enough. It's a mistake from Ruiz that's going to decide this race. If it comes, Lakenshaw's got a chance. If it doesn't, Lakenshaw's going to run out of time.
Yeah, and Shaw just gets through. That was on the 88 Mercedes. Chris Edwards, who he's just managed to get through on. But, oh, a little bit sideways as Lakenshaw. He came to a stop there coming out of the chicane. That has basically ended his opportunity. Slam dunk. I'm sorry for Lakenshaw. You can't come out of the chicane like that. And look at the rooster tail. I mean, Edwards can't even see a dicky bird heading into La Source. It's ridiculous. But that is how Spa-Francorchamps tests everybody. Meantime, look at Fenton. He's closing in on Mai, and that gap is 3 seconds. And bearing in mind that Henry Fenton's last lap was a 2:46.6, Matthew Mai's was a 2:51.6. So a lot of lap time being gained, and that gap is coming down further and further. Meantime, Christian Ruiz is about 40% of the way through lap number 22. So I would imagine the way things are going, next time by, we will get the white flag out for the final lap of this race. And what an adventure it has been. Ken Clodin is the latest driver to hit 15 incident points, and now will have to go to the pits. That is going to eliminate him from the top 3. That's going to give Nicolay Sanchez 3rd position and promote Thomas King in the Rexy Mustang to P2, but behind Pro-Am leader Carlos Ruiz Padilla.
So now it's all about just bringing it home. 2.5 minutes to go. It's a lap and a bit, depending on where you are on the circuit, but it is getting tougher and tougher to stay focused out there. Still so many patches on the circuit that are just becoming rivers, and it is very difficult to get the focus in. Matthew Mitchell still behind a pinging La France. That was never going to be easy anyway. And now the Aston gets out of the way to allow them to go through. This is going to be tricky to the end, isn't it? All 3 cars in a very distinct duel with each other as they run in close proximity. Mitchell, Powell and Lancier, and it is going to go right down to the wire between these two. Let's ride on board with Matthew Mitchell and the Hurricane. Let's have a listen on the rundown to Eau Rouge. That's an orchestra, is that?
That's an engine that is going to be missed when the Temerario joins the iRacing server. We go from 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 to the 4 litre twin turbo V8 of the Temerario. But
yeah,
still...
I adore the Temerario. I am very much in love with it, and I was there when it was launched in Sydney last year. I'm just so gutted that that means we're going to have to say goodbye to the Hurricane.
Yeah, but however, on that note, white flag is in the air. Christian Ruiz on his way through Eau Rouge et Radion for the final time. The rain is teeming down here in the Ardennes forest. Rooster tails are plentiful, but Christian Ruiz, who started, let's get it from this point, outside of row 3, and is now going to make his way down towards Lecom. What a drive it has been for the Puerto Rican in the that wonderfully F1 2026 liveried Ferrari 296 GT3. He's not put a foot wrong. He's done everything that has been required of him, and that just goes to show the caliber of what this man could very well be capable in this particular Cavallino Rampante, the prancing horse, looking to really stamp its authority on this season in the hands of this man on the first round out of 10 for HPR GT World Challenge. You can't say anything more spectacular than what Christian Ruiz has been able to pull out of the magician's hat here today, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, if he was going to get any trophy today, it should be the Rudyard Kipling IF trophy, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be the trophy for, you know, doing all of that fantastic work that he's done. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. Amazing, isn't it? Christian Ruiz has just been so smooth. He's not been spectacular. He's not been cataclysmic out front, but he's just been solid. He's just been an iron will wall. And fair play to the other class winners as well. It's going to be great relief for Carlos Ruiz Padilla, who's going to make it a double Puerto Rican triumph. And then, of course, good effort from Travis Stevens too. Good to see that they've really made good work of the opportunity. They haven't overdriven. They've just got the job done.
Yeah, and Christian Ruiz has a little bit of a wobble as Adam Blanchimont comes for the final time, but it is going to be the checkered flag. Season 10, round 1 here at Spa, the double point season opener comes to its an eventual conclusion as from 6th on the start 1 hour ago, it is the Ferrari number 7, Christian Ruiz, who tackles Spa head on and wins the race. And what could have been for Lakenshaw, he's going to bring Mustang Power to P2 overall. But all I could say, what about this man? A Season 9 champion. He goes to Pro-Am for Season 10, and he starts off the next campaign as he concluded the last one. Carlos Ruiz Padilla brings Puerto Rico to joy and victory as Ruiz wins for Puerto Rico in Pro, Ruiz Padilla in Pro-Am. What a big shout out here for Thomas King. Started 11th, finishes P4 overall, P2 in Pro-Am. Dan Griffin crosses the line, finishes P3 in Pro. But the next person we need to concentrate on, it's this man here. Travis Stevens started in 20th position, has moved up 5 places. Matthew Mai still as the highest, well, oh dear, Nicholas Matthews, he's either going to jump into the pits or that is going to be a 35-second post-race time penalty because he's hit his incident point limit. But Travis Stevens, again, another driver that has kept his powder dry, kept his nose clean, and has just gotten that car to the end, and he will be our 3rd different class winner. And when you think about it, all class winners, all in different machinery. Ferrari winning in Pro-Am goes the way of Munich's propeller in the form of BMW, and the pride of Motor City, Chevrolet and Corvette, set to take the W here in the AM class, Jake.
Yeah, really good work from Travis Stevens. A very solid effort. Burmeister and Edwards have already crossed the line, so he's not going to lose the position now. A fabulous effort from him. Want to give a shout out to Thomas King. A really solid and intimidating drive where he really made all the right moves out there. Good to see that he was not afraid to try something a little bit different out there in these conditions, and it really worked for him to come through 2nd in Pro-Am, 4th overall. Good effort from so many drivers, particularly good recovery drives from Fenson and from La France after their little contretemps earlier on. But Travis Stevens, a good run and a good win. And great to see 3 different brands in the top end. Well, that's not the best way to finish off the race for Travis Stevens. No. Thank goodness it was post-flag. But, well, that's one way to end it. Travis Stevens getting the job done. Fair play to La France for actually bringing it home with all that damage that he had to his car. He's going to cruise over the line. I wonder if he's actually got a puncture on the last lap, because he's actually tiptoeing so minimally to the finish line.
Or he could have run out of fuel.
That's possible as well, actually. Yeah, that's a very good point. Well, it's been a crazy one, Alex, but I think Spa has given us everything we thought it was going to give us and a bit more as the France finally brings the car over the line. I think you might be right. I think it might have been fuel-related. Yeah,
but nevertheless, it still has been one that we won't forget in a very, very long time, as the 6.2 litre naturally aspirated powered Mercedes of Chris Edwards heads down into pit lane, of course serving a black flag penalty. But nevertheless, it is going to be the case that we have some worthy class winners. Let's take you through the provisional results of HPR GT World Challenge Season 10 at round 1 at Spa. Christian Ruiz, the number 7 from Puerto Rico, takes it from 6 on the grid to win the race ahead of the High Point Racing Mustang of Lakenshaw in the number 13, and 100 Forces Dan Griffin in the 101 Ferrari rounding out the top 3. After that, Matthew Mai in 4th, ahead of Henry Fenson, Nicholas Maynard, Ryan Anderson and Jace Larson completing the field. When we go to Pro-Am, Carlos Ruiz Padilla, the Season 9 AM champion, takes an opening win ahead of Rexy Mustangs Thomas King, with Nicolai Sanchez making it 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. Ken Claude and Chris Nauman, Nicholas Matthews, Matthew Mitchell, Donald Powell, Nicholas Lanciers, Nicholas LaFrance and Scott Farrell round out the 11 strong. And going to the AM side of things, Travis Stevens in the number 24 Corvette is your AM class winner. Jason Burmeister and Chris Edwards in Mustang and Mercedes power round out the top 3. Edgardo Gomez in the Acura, Andrew Davis in the Aston Martin, and Ian Morrison rounds out the field. All of our class winners, so Ruiz Padilla, and also Stevens pick up a 1-month HIMO subscription courtesy of HIMO Setups. But it's time to head to our post-race interview show to speak to our class winners. First of all, let's bring our overall race winner into the booth. We should hopefully very shortly have our a man who's come back to winning ways after difficulties in Season 9. Let's see if we can catch a word with Christian Ruiz. Christian, firstly, heck of a drive, my friend. You nailed the situation here at Spa and you won by 15 seconds. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much.
It wasn't easy out there, was it? I mean, no, things got a little bit dicey. We had Henry Fenson go off. We had Lake and Shaw go off. And then as soon as you hit the front, it was a case of testing the waters, so to speak, literally and figuratively here tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely a gamble on those dry tires at the beginning, but it definitely paid off. Just kept it clean and consistent.
I have to ask you, a very inspired choice from Season 9 being in the Mercedes for quite a lot of that season, especially when we went to Long Beach and you were running the Verstappen.com racing in some respects. So, but inspired choice to go to the Ferrari, a very different machine to handle. How's the transfer been for you?
Lots of practice, really. I usually like the mid-engine layout cars better, so it's definitely a better choice than the Mercedes.
But still, you weathered the storm here at Spa. We go to Imola next week, so we go to the car's home turf at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari. You probably might be feeling confident going into that race, having picked up double points here at the opening round.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely going for a podium or a win next race at home. So, looking forward to it.
Brilliant. Well, Christian, congratulations on becoming our first overall race winner here in Season 10. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank in particular?
I want to shout out Lakin. He drove a good race. Spun out, still got P2, so good job from him.
Brilliant. Well, Christian, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you next week for round 2 at Imola. Congratulations on the victory here at Spa.
Thank you.
And next up, joining Jake Sanson, will be our Pro-Am winner, a defending champion from last season. He's with Carlos Ruiz Padilla.
Carlos, fantastic run. Really, really solid performance there in the BMW. It was not an easy time out there, particularly when the rain started to come down in the mid-phase. How was the BMW to handle overall?
It was great. I think going on a wet tire at the beginning was kind of a 50-50 draw. I didn't know if it was going to be wet or dry. It did become wet, so I was struggling. All the dry tire guys passed me. But during the wet, it felt great. I almost lost it a few times, but all the skill I had to keep the car on track.
And how much were you actually pushing through the race? We could see that drivers were pushing it and losing it. Were you having to reduce and kind of rein yourself in a bit? Were you at sort of 8/10 at points of the race just to keep yourself on the road?
I think I was definitely pushing pretty hard at the beginning. I got a good run at the beginning. Once tires gave out, I kind of retracted how hard I was pushing because it was just floating on ice pretty much. On the second stint, fresh tires, new fuel. I was pushing pretty hard to catch Kenny because he had a phenomenal dry sting in the beginning, so I had to get everything I had to catch him.
And moving to Imola, very different type of circuit, very, very close quarters, very tight, very narrow. You're not going to get much of an opportunity for mistakes. How do you feel things are going to go there?
Oh, feel confident. Imola is one of my favorite tracks, so definitely going to put the hammer down there. Going to hold that championship all this season, so anyone can get it.
I love the confidence. It's a great day for the 51st state, isn't it? Who do you want to thank for the great work that you guys have put in?
I want to thank everyone, team, High Point Racing, all the drivers that, have joined, a lot of new drivers. Thank you, everyone, to support the league and my full endurance team, my staff team for putting all the work and helping me out. Here, have fun and continue on racing hard.
Amazing stuff. Great job, buddy. Well done. Great win.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we have some post-race drama, Alex, in the sense that what we believed to be the winner in the AM category was not the case. There was a glitch in the UI. It's not Travis Stevens who takes the win. It is, in fact, Nicolas Lancier.
Yeah, indeed. The man in the with the Sonic liveried Porsche. Let's see if we can grab a word with him. Nicholas, can we get a copy, please?
I copy.
Well, let's just put it this way. You are our winner in GTD AM, which means you pick up, first of all, a 1-month HIMO setup subscriction.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we
That's
found
awesome.
there was there we go. So congratulations, buddy. But also, it wasn't easy out there by any stretch of the imagination. I think myself and Jake were sort of biting our fingernails to the quick, like thinking, is everyone going to make it by the end of the checkered flag? We did have a few fall by the wayside, but how is it from your perspective?
It was a really good race. I actually had a moment there, I think with about 9 minutes to go, I ended up spinning up Eau Rouge, and Travis actually got back past me. So towards the end there, I had to get past him for the win, but it was a great race from my end.
So Sonic helped to give you a little bit more additional traction, did he?
Yeah, just a little bit. Gotta go fast, you know?
Yeah, true. But I think, you know, at the end of the day, the Porsche can still be quite a stable vehicle in the wet. It has got that really good handling characteristics, but even in the wet, it's not easy. We were seeing people hit those standing water puddles, like you said, having a spin with 9 minutes to go, but you gathered it up and got the class win. That must fill you with a lot of confidence heading into Imola for round 2 next week in 7 days' time.
Yes, absolutely. I love that track, and it's actually my first league win, so I'm pretty excited overall.
Well, Nicholas, congratulations on the win in GTD AM. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank in particular?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. My mom and
well, that's
dad,
what we do up here.
I'll give them thanks to my mom and dad.
Brilliant. Well, Nicholas, congratulations of taking the win in GTD AM. We'll see you next week for round 2 at Imola here at HBR World GT World Challenge. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, Jake, Spa, as always, spectacular, provides some scintillating racing, and boy, we got it in spades tonight here in the Ardennes Forest.
We certainly did. It was one of those races where it was always going to be about survival of the fittest, not the fastest. And there was some really intelligent driving out there. There were a couple of lackadaisical moments. Sadly, one of the things that does need to be reflected on after this race is still how drivers rejoin. It's going to be a critical talking point between now and Imola for the next 6 days between the drivers. I think they're going to have to settle their differences amongst themselves. But a lot of drivers need to scrutinize themselves. They need to look at, if we're going to spin off the road, how do we rejoin? Yes, you're in a race. Yes, you're trying to make up the time, but you can't compromise other people's races. So that's something that's going to have to be discussed. Apart from that, fabulous performances from everybody, and certainly a really, really solid battle in all 3 classes. A race that had so many twists and turns, you couldn't predict who was going to win in the first 10 minutes. That's what you want from a proper sim race. Great job.
Well, congratulations firstly to all our class winners in Pro, Pro-Am and Am who take away a 1-month subscription to our title sponsor. Big thank you to HIMO Setups, providing professional sim racing setups used by HPR racing drivers, helps to elevate the standard of racing across all classes. Of course, for those that registered, there is going to be a draw for a 12-month HIMO subscription. Next up, Monster Designs, custom race liveries, professional designs and branding for drivers and teams. And finally, last but by certainly no means least, our good friends at Admin Box, a broadcast and operational support tool, helps with race control, organisation for leagues and for structure. That's it for us here at Spa-Francorchamps for the opening round of the High Point Racing GT World Challenge. On our upcoming schedule, well, we've got Pony Express GT3 Endurance, FMA GT3, Apex this, Porsche Cup goes to the Glen for the midway points of Season 28 this coming Tuesday. Throttle Freaks GT3 will also be in action. Indy Next hits ASRL this coming Wednesday with High Point Racing IMSA Series Season 6 kicking off this coming Thursday, 9 PM Eastern, with FMA WEC on the same night. Special Stage Pro Trucks will be in on action on Friday. Breaking Bad pushing limits Saturday, and then, well, 7 days' time we do it all again because Freedom Motorsport Gen 4, Apex this Mazda Cup, and round 2 at the home of the Cavallino Rampante. The Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari at Imola will be the scene, the battleground for round 2 of the High Point Racing GT World Challenge. A big thank you to you all for watching. This stream has been powered by Admin Box, Hymo Setups, HPR Racing, Admin Box, and Monster Designs. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, and alongside myself, Jake Sanson, with Rob Campbell, our producer behind the scenes. It's thank you very much to Spa, as we'll see you at Imola in 1 week's time. Until then, thanks for watching.